Alright, welcome to Pints of Interest, this special seasonal episode that we're doing. We actually decided to add, I guess, a new type of episode, kind of. It's not really a mini-sode, it's not really a full episode, it's somewhere in the middle. We're going to do this for seasonal beers because we found that it takes a little bit longer to actually edit and put together a full episode, that by the time it's done, that season's passed. You'll see that this is actually going to come out probably before our summer episode, which we've already filmed. Hopefully that'll be done soon, but we kind of missed that actual block of summer. So we decided what we're going to do is we're going to try a number of different beers from a particular season. In this case, we do know what the beers are, but we're still going to be served them blind. So we can see which one out of the ones that we're trying works best. So if you want a particular seasonal one, you can be like, hey, that's the best out of the ones that we have available to us.
Right.
We're still going to rate it in the same way, based on aroma, taste, and finish. And we're just going to go through, try all these. They're going to get mixed up and served to us just in a glass, so we have no idea what we're trying, and we'll see which of these ones comes out best. So that's the general format that we're going to use for the seasonal beers. So for this particular one, though, we are looking at Oktoberfest. Yum.
Yeah.
I personally am a fan of Oktoberfest. I like a lot of them, but I find that I tend to like some of the American Oktoberfest a little bit better sometimes than actually some of the German type ones. So this is going to be interesting because we have a decent mix here. We do have, there's a limited amount that we can have. We're just doing these 6 for now. I mean, there's tons of Oktoberfest that we could do, but only so many we can do, so we went with 6 interesting ones as opposed to ones that are particularly popular. Like, we know Sam Adams Oktoberfest, love it. I like it.
It's a good, solid, easy to
get. If I want an Oktoberfest, that's probably, I'm going to go for that. Another one that I know I like quite a bit, I don't think either of these guys have had it, is Victory's Fest Beer, is what it's called. That one's a little bit more of a hoppy one. It's got a little bit more of a full body, a little less of that Marzen taste, a little bit more of like a amber lager type thing. That's quite good. That's not going to be included in these particular 6 that we're doing because we want to do 6 ones that we haven't really had before and that are kind of unique. So we're going to go over what we have here in front of us. Alright, so on this side here we have Sly Fox's October Lager. Comes in this lovely silver can here. Here we have Hex, which is Our-tober-fest. Not Oktoberfest, Our-tober-fest, that it says on it, from Magic Hat. Full disclosure, Tom and I have actually had this particular one before. Ryan has not, so we'll see how that goes. We may be able to pick this one out.
Yeah.
It depends. It does, from what I remember, have a very unique taste for an Oktober or an Our-tober.
It's not just
this particular one, probably out of all these, is the one I'm looking forward to the most. It's Einger's Oktoberfest Marzen beer. Our next one here is the Spaten Oktoberfest. This is pretty much a traditional one. It is imported from Germany. Our next is our Hacker Peshore. This is also an Oktoberfest, so they describe it as an amber Marzen. And then we have our final one here, which will be an interesting one to mix into this that I think we're going to be able to pick out fairly easily, but we will see.
because it is a Rauch beer.
It is a Rauch beer, which means it's smoked. Schlinkeria? Yeah, it's Schlinkeria. I'm not saying it right. I've even had German. I've been to Germany twice, and I suck at it. It's the German one.
Yeah.
So those are the 6 beers that we're going to be trying. Again, blind taste test style. We're just going to get these randomly out. We'll talk about each one as we have them. We're going to write down how we feel about it, and then we'll let you know which one came out on top of our seasonal Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest is a massive German festival that typically runs the last week of September and ends the first week of October, involving copious amounts of beer, giant mugs known as Maßkrug or simply Maß, and of course dirndls and lederhosen. Oktoberfest came about when Prince Ludwig and Princess Theresa of Saxe-Hildburghausen were married in October of 1810. A horse race closed the celebration, and it was repeated each year thereafter, eventually giving rise to the brewed beer event. Oktoberfest beer, also known as a Marzen, is typically a low-hop, high-malt version of a Vienna-style lager with a dry finish. From a brewing standpoint, the only real difference between a beer designated as a Marzen or Oktoberfest is the starting gravity used when each is brewed, Marzen being the low gravity and Oktober being high. They gained their name based on old beer brewing practices. In the month of Marzen, also known as March to us English speakers, beer was stored in caves. These beers would be brewed stronger to help survive the summer months. Refrigeration killed this practice of cave cooling, but the October beer tradition held on. The beer reserved from March, hence Marzen, would typically run out during the Prince Ludwig-inspired October celebration, which is why this beer is also referred to as an Oktoberfest.
Alright, so we're done with our Oktoberfest experiment, and we have definitely surprised ourselves once we found out the results. Wow, we were so sure about some things, and we were dead wrong. Alright, so the general results here, we have these in order of how we tried them. I guess we'll just kind of go over how we tried them, and then kind of put them maybe in the order that they ended up ranking. So the first one we had was the Hacker Brochure original Oktoberfest. I think we thought this might have been the Spaten. It was a little bit watery, didn't have a really strong taste. This ended up being a 13.3 for us. I think this ended up in 4th place for us. Overall, not something I think we'd have again necessarily.
There wasn't much there.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot there. Alright, so the second beer we had actually was the damn Hex Our-tober. Now this is one that Tom and I actually had before.
And we're crazy about it.
And we didn't like it that much when we had the taste of it. But this one actually ended up being 3rd place for us. And we had no idea that that was this one. No. Absolutely not. So far, 3rd in that. The Sly Fox was the 3rd one we tried, and unfortunately tied for worst. We just did not care for this one that much.
It was
it was very nondescript. I mean, to be fair, it is an Oktoberfest lager, so that's why it's going to be slightly different.
Right.
Then some of these other ones have that little bit more of that lager taste. I'm not sure if we actually called this one right or not, did we?
Yes, we did.
Alright, we did call this one, so I guess we can feel at least a little bit good about that one, even though we screwed up the Magic Hat that we'd already had.
Yeah.
So this one, close to dead last year. Big surprise for us was the Schlackerl, whatever. The smoked beer, the Rauch beer. Schlackerl. This one, even though it was a smoked beer, and we've had some bad experiences with smoked beer in the past, this, I think, I know I can at least say this is probably my favorite smoked beer I've had, period.
Yeah, to the 3 or 4 I've tried.
Yeah, I mean, we're not huge into those, or it's not a very popular style, but out of all the ones I've tried, this one is the absolute best. It really has a really strong aroma, but the taste, it just balances it really well. It actually enhances the taste in some ways, and it's just a really well done beer.
I think the fact that they went for a more caramel malt, a sweeter flavor in there to be balanced by the smoke went to its advantage.
Yeah, it works really, really well, and this one ended up being 2nd for us. Then the 5th one that we tried was the Spaten Oktoberfest, also tied for worst.
Yeah.
For us, not necessarily a big surprise, though. This is the one that we actually thought was the Magic Hat that had kind of the nut brown. I was really surprised by that, because that's what I remembered from this one when we had it. But this one actually tied Sly Fox with an 11.6, so these are on the bottom end here, which of course then means our winner is Einger's Oktoberfest Marzen. Woo!
Very good. And it's interesting in retrospect, knowing that it's Einger, and then knowing other stuff I like by them, like Celebrator, for instance. They have that sweet malt flavor. I also remember that from Celebrator.
Yeah, Celebrator's kind of the same way. It's a creamier version.
Yeah, I'm getting it here.
Kind of thing. And it just comes around, it's got a much richer taste, richer mouthfeel and stuff like that. This one we ended up scoring a 16.3 average, so it pretty handily won that by a full point over the Rauch.
also to say could be particular to us. I mean, if you don't like
That's very true.
a little bit of sweetness in your beer, you might say you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what
And
what
you might,
see in
but you
Iron.
might not really want to drink Oktoberfest. However, I obviously have seen that there are a variety of Oktoberfest versions, and really the only one that had a decent amount of sweetness was the Iron.
Yeah.
So, I guess for Pints of Interest and Oktoberfest, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.